season 5 of Stranger Things had a lot of advertising for their partnership with Target, and I think in a normal world, I would be, very excited about, Stranger Things having a brand partnership. For context for everyone else, they basically have just vintage props, a lot of 80s type products, merchandise, things that are exclusively bought at Target, and it was, like, basically they also built a Target that was similar to the 1980s, um, I think in LA as well. And it was a really just interesting decision, I thought, by Target to have that brand partnership in the first place. I think Target in general is one of those brands that is struggling to differentiate. It's between Walmart, where you go for value, and then Amazon, where you go for efficiency. And, Target is somewhere in the middle. I get that this campaign was just a little bit more of a spark, but I just thought it was really strange. I don't feel like a lot of people who watch Stranger Things are going to like run to Target for merch, number one. But number two, I think it also doesn't really honor what the goal of going to a Target is. You're looking for practical, you're looking for emotional comfort. A lot of the times when you have these brand partnerships that are associated with TV shows, I know like Wicked did a ton of this as well when it first came out. Um, they're kind of what makes most sense to me is when it's infused into products that you already used. So, like, I love the fact that Wicked, there was dishwashing liquid and, Tide Pods and things that were branded, green and pink because those are things that you would normally buy. And, yeah, I just don't know if this really resonated with me as much in terms of brand partnership. I also know multiple people who went to Target and had no idea this was happening, so I'm kind of curious if
Yeah,
it even
I was one
really
of those
hit the
people.
ether.
When you
Yeah.
brought up this topic, I was like, "What? They're doing a partnership?" But then I saw the commercial and I was like, "Oh, okay, so I guess this is what it's supposed to be." But yeah, I agree with you. I don't know what, like, the overlap is or, like, who the target customer is for this. One thing I think that Target has done well previously is to have those partnerships, right? They're still doing the one with Chip and Joanna Gaines, right, for, like, their kitchen and, like, homeware stuff. They did the Chrissy Teigen one, for, like, kitchen stuff. So they've had partnerships like this before, and then they also do, like, work with, like, designers, right? Like, I've seen, a few designers, I think it was, like, Diane von Furstenberg, like she did a fashion line with Target, right? That as a strategy, a marketing strategy for Target is like doing brand partnerships makes sense overall. But there's usually a target, customer that you have in mind, right? So for this, it's like, what sorts of products are you creating? Like, are you trying to hit on the 80s nostalgia a bit? Are you trying to like, create just like stuff for people to like bring into their house?
Yeah.
And then that's kind of where it runs flat for me.
Totally, and I also feel like it's one of those things where the '80s nostalgia is part of the entertainment value of it, and especially for kids, they really love, seeing the story, seeing what a different time period looked like. And I don't know how much of the '80s nostalgia translates into consumerism. That is,
Mhm.
like, kind of a question I had as it related to a lot of this stuff. What I thought was actually really interesting as I was watching the show, I pay for the Netflix with ads because I pay for, like, 10 other streaming services, but, the ads that I got were all for normal products where it was, like, Discover, Gatorade, and they were like, "Oh, products that have been popular since the '80s," and it just seems like every product is trying to find its connection back to Stranger Things in some way. But I
Mhm.
I thought those were interesting because, again, those are, like, normal products that
Yeah.
you otherwise would never really associate with the '80s.
Huh. I think that's interesting. I've been looking at Target's merch page for Stranger Things. They have, t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, but they also have several food products. Doritos, they're just Doritos, but it has a Stranger Things logo on it. They have a Demogorgon Crunch cereal. It looks kind of 80s. They have a Stranger Things Eggo waffle. They're strawberry waffles. And then they do have like a kind of a retro looking Doritos bag. So they have two kinds of Doritos. One is just regular nacho cheese Doritos with the Stranger Things logo like on the corner. And the other one is the classic Doritos logo, like the one that was in the 80s.
Hmm.
They also have Gushers and Fruit Roll-Ups. They have Cheetos, but the Cheetos can looks doesn't look it doesn't look retro to me. But
Yeah.
it's funny, I didn't know that Stranger Things and Target had a partnership, but there was another kind of some more obscure partnership that I did know about because a friend told me about it. And it's with the shoe store
Mhm.
Aldo. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
they have Stranger Things shoes. It's like it's heels. So, like
Mhm.
and it has, like, a little charm on the side. It has a Stranger Things logo, has, like, a Demogorgon mouth. They're, like, black heels with a Demogorgon mouth on it. And
Same.
it's very interesting, right? And it makes me think, like, maybe the person they're going after or their demographic is the suburban mom. Because who else do you know shops at Aldo?
Mhm.
Do you feel like you would or
I mean,
do you
you're a
feel like the
suburban mom,
the Target
Amanda.
one,
Would you
yeah,
buy
do you feel like
that?
the Target one speaks to you?
Um A little bit, yeah. I mean, I happen to not be a huge Stranger Things fan. I mean, the Aldo shoes, I do think they're kind of cute in a way that's like, "Oh, man, if I were a fan, I would totally want these." And for the snacks at Target, like, I want the retro looking Doritos. But I love Doritos. Doritos, please sponsor us and send
I
us
know,
free Doritos.
right?
It
Yeah.
does make me think though, and clearly, Target spent a lot of money on this, but the way we think about brand activations for startups and smaller companies, you really what you're trying to do when you get a partnership or when you create a bundled product or anything like that is you want to get people who are outside of the Venn diagram, basically. For example, people who are fans of both products, and ideally, product one wants to get other people who are not on product one from the other side. Product two wants to get the other people there too. And so for Target, I think the interesting thing is like who the overlap to me just feels like such a flat circle. Like I can't imagine that a lot of people who are Stranger Things fans are like going to not going to be familiar with Target. So I'm just curious if my calculus on brand partnerships is very different from the way that retail giants and people who have a lot of money and a lot of brand recognition and brand affinity think about it. Like to me, it doesn't help me associate Target any differently, and
Mm.
so I'm curious if that was even their intention. Maybe it wasn't.
I think the thing for me is what I would expect from brand partnerships is like something unique that you wouldn't be able to get from either, brand itself, right? It's like you need both of them to be together and to like work together to come up with like new ideas. And this doesn't do that for me. It's just like, well, they would have had Stranger Things toys and t-shirts and hats anyway, So like what's different about it? What's like unique? Because I can get, I probably can't get this specific merch, but I can get similar merch at other stores, So that's where it's just like, well, what are you bringing that's new to the deal that makes me interested in like what you're doing? And everything you mentioned is like, well, but like the chips are still the same, I guess, if you really care about the logo, but that's just going in the trash anyway. The toys, like, are toys, So that's where it's a miss for me. It's like it doesn't really seem as if there was thought behind it of like, let's create something new that you can only get here. Which is funny because it's like one of the things that like Target has been doing that has actually been getting me to spend money is creating new versions of books that are just Target specific, right? So they'll do like anniversary releases for like books that have been published already that you can only buy at Target, right? It's like I could buy that book anywhere else, but not this version of it, right? So it's like they are putting thought behind other things that they're doing and other partnerships. So why not this? Like it
That's a
just seems
good
like a
point.
cash grab.
No, that's a good point, and it's also, like, when you watch Stranger Things, and if you see Target in the background or they're at a Target, I don't know, I assume Target's featured, you don't go like, "Oh, yeah, remember in the '80s we were all at Target?" Like,
Yeah.
they're also, like, kind of like the inverse of that, right? There isn't really a nostalgic connection when you look back on it, and
Mhm.
I guess, it's now that you're talking about, like, what is the unique thing that when they come together, what's the unique thing they bring forth? If anything, maybe the Aldo partnership was more
Mhm.
unique, right?
Oh yeah, cuz where are
Because
you going to get
it's
those shoes from?
exactly, only Aldo has those shoes, and,
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know how many people who are listening, right, like, who shop at Aldo, but I think they're fairly known for having, pretty comfortable dressy shoes,
Mhm.
like, sensible dressy shoes. So, there's a little bit of that, and so if you already hey, suburban mom, right? I'm
Yeah.
already thinking, like, I know Aldo makes decently comfortable shoes, and if I'm a huge Stranger Things fan, yeah, I want these cute black heels with, like, red
Mhm.
details because I love Stranger Things. Like,
Mhm.
that makes sense to me.
Yeah. One other thing that they could have done is gone the experiential route, right? Where it's like, let's design a Target store that's exactly as it was in the 80s. And then you come
Yeah.
visit that. And it's like, this is the stuff that you could purchase here. And then at the end, you have purely a like Stranger Things merch, section of like, you go through the whole process and you can buy the stuff, right? And then you can also purchase the Stranger Things like merch. That would have made more sense because it's like, oh, I'm experiencing it in a different way. This way, it's like, oh, it's kind of in the store, and if you see it, you see it. But most people apparently, I didn't. I didn't see any of this when I went to like Target, and I, pretty much go through most of the sections because with kids, it's like you want to. Target's like a place we go to spend time. Like just to walk around, give them fun stuff to do. Um, and that would have been cool. I would go to, like, a Target '80s, store and, like, shop through that and see, like, what that looks like, but,
It's true.
yeah.
I would too.
And I think to your point, Amanda, Aldo, part of why it works is you only go there for shoes. Like,
Mhm,
and if you think about just brands where there's very strong task-oriented behavior, you're only going to an Aldo for a separate reason than you're going to like an Amazon. Aldo, you need to buy shoes, and you're kind of already a very high intent, behaviorally targeted customer when you go on that site. And I think part of the challenge with Target is that you can go to Target for you can go to Target to spend time, like like Sonia
mhm.
said, which is funny. And I remember. I think this was a couple years back. Read this book is by this environmental psychologist, Paco Underhill, and the book was called Why We Buy. And in the book, he talks a lot about billboards and how billboards, when they're in these conference rooms and advertising executives are looking at them, they get rated really, really high, and people feel really good about them. And then as soon as you put them out in the wild, I live in San Francisco, so I feel like I see tech billboards everywhere I go.
Yeah.
As soon as you put them out in the wild, there's a ton of statistics about how I think only 12% of people who view something in they like did a test in a high traffic area, only 12% bother to see it. And part of like his hypothesis is, hey, like if you're in a high traffic area and you're headed somewhere, like you're not thinking about this stuff, and really even the awareness window is maybe 2.9 seconds. And I feel like Target is the epitome of one of those places where there is no singular task oriented behavior you can get around, and so it's really, really hard to uh, center a reason for people to go to Target, or for people to go to Target for one thing. And I think part of the reason why the advertising worked for Netflix is if you're watching the show already, number one, you're a Stranger Things fan. Number two, you're like thinking about Stranger Things,
Mhm,
you're not thinking about, you know, cleaning products and stuff to get for your babies and all of that stuff.
mhm,
So
mhm.
I think a lot of that plays into it as well.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think another thing here actually is, knowing that, this was like, kind of creator or whatever. Like, this is one of the examples of like, um, how they spent the money wrong, in my opinion, right? Like we were just talking about earlier with like Stripe doing this like unique experience and getting more, eyeballs from it because of the idea was so unique. And this I feel like didn't hit with Target. It's not about the amount of money you spend, clearly, it's more about like the idea and the novelty and like what people kind of associate with like the brand and like the partnership that is coming from it.
I agree with you that they should have absolutely done something immersive, and I feel like maybe they did somewhere, but even within Targets, if there was like a even if one of their products was immersive or if it was like a cool product that you could only get in a Target that wasn't,
Mhm.
branded Doritos or something like that, I think that could have been a better reason to get more eyeballs on the partnership itself, and then maybe ladder into other products and stuff that they buy.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
for sure.
there's a way they could have done that pretty simply and at
Mhm.
scale. Like, I mean, I love Sonia's idea, right? It's fully immersive, but they could have even just taken one aisle in the back of the store
Mhm.
and put all the merch and Stranger Things themed stuff there, and then made that aisle the 80s aisle. Like,
Mm.
there's a way they could have done it in like many, many cities where it doesn't necessarily have to be a really expensive activation. It's just rearranging some things temporarily.
Yeah, I
Totally.
think part of it though for me is you're talking about scale and I'm talking about what's unscalable, right? And it's like what we're
Mm,
seeing with tech companies, it's like they're doing the unscalable stuff, right? Ramp did the experiential marketing, Anthropic and like Meta have the pop-up stores that they've launched in New York, right? And those are getting attention because of the novelty, right? Whereas this kind of like has lost attention or I didn't even know about it until
Mm.
like Kushan mentioned it. Um because it doesn't seem that out of the ordinary for, like, what they would do, you know? So if, like, they had taken a store in, like, New York or, like, LA, because there are lots of those stores here, where it's like you just convert one and you just for that activation, use it for that, that would have gotten them more attention than what this did.
Or at least even having things like limited edition collectibles would have been cool, and, the McDonald's and all these places, they get a lot of momentum from that too. In my
Mhm.
opinion, one of the best marketing activations in history was Willy Wonka with the 5 golden tickets. Like, that did so much for brand awareness, so much for, engagement with the fact like, all the spies were interested, that's the kind of magic you wanna create with this
exactly.
brand
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
activation.
Exactly, right?
Not Willy Wonka, brilliant marketer.
Oh, of
He
course, of
captured a
course.
lot of the, elusiveness, the
Huh.
mystique,
Uh-huh.
yeah, he knew how to make people talk.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah,
And
true,
yeah.
but it was, like, actually, like, a cranky old man, but, like, presented himself, like yeah.
cranky old man playing 4D chess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, part of the mystique or, like, what they're creating, the different types of flavors and what happens, yeah, yeah. A good lesson for all marketers to think about for
Be
their companies.
be like
Uh,
Willy Wonka.
yeah, exactly.